Welcome to The Mental Game, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. I'm Heather.
And I'm Bree.
And today we embark on doing something new as we explore the concept of getting your head into the game. So what happens when you press start? East High Wildcats varsity basketball captain, number 14. We have an image in case you don't know who this awesome player is. Troy Bolton, he knows a thing or two about getting your head into the game. So what is this saying all about? To focus, concentrate, pay close attention to the task at hand. Originating in sports, it's a command to stop being distracted and devote full mental energy and effort in succeeding in your current situation, whether athletics, work, or at school. Bree, did you hear this? You played soccer, was it growing up, different sports? Did you hear ever, especially from a coach, get your head in the game?
Honestly, all I can hear right now is get your head in the game. You gotta get your head in the game.
I'm so glad you caught my reference and you knew where it was coming from.
All the time, honestly. Getting your head in the game before a game day or a test, anything, is so important. You got to block everything out and make sure that you're present in the moment.
Yeah, that presence, that idea of kind of being in the moment and being in that flow. So let's break this down. Mental performance is the development and application of psychological skills, strategies, and mindset to achieve optimal functioning, consistency, and growth. So it's mastering our focus, the emotional control, confidence, and resilience. Mental performance is the crucial differentiator between a good athlete, a good student, and elite level. It involves training of the mind, just like we train the body. And it uses different techniques, visualization, goal setting, mindfulness. We're going to be talking a lot about the different strategies today. So it's a skill development. It's learning these specific tools. And then just like going to the flex and doing some reps, we can do this mentally to enhance our mental performance. So as mentioned, things like visualization or mental rehearsal, self-talk. We'll talk a lot today about mindset, routine and goal setting, mindfulness and regulating those emotions, and discipline and consistency. There's a saying that championships are won in the mind. There is a really great book, and we have a screenshot of its cover, called The Mountain Is You by Brianna W. And it's about self-sabotage. Why change is hard. You are the mountain, which means your challenges, fears, and patterns of self-sabotage are internal mountains that you must climb. It reminds me, I don't know if you know the 1999 classic Tarzan by Disney, right? Phil Collins sings a song in that movie, Son of Man, I believe it is. I actually have a poster of some of the lyrics in my son's room because for me, it really embodies this book and the message that we're hoping to send today. And there's a lyric that stands out. On this journey that we're making, there'll be answers that you seek, and it's you who'll climb the mountain. It's you who'll reach the peak. So this book is all about learning about emotional intelligence, developing self-awareness, noticing your patterns. What are your mountains? It's about emotional processing, your emotions. So whether you bring awareness through like journaling or reflection or talking to your folks, it's about building resilience and self-mastery. So this idea of discipline and the actions that we're taking towards our goals. Transformation often comes from aligning our purpose, our values with these goals and taking responsibility, showing up, getting your head in the game through that accountability. But there's a lot of different tools mentioned in this book. And so things like visualization, we've already mentioned today, it's all about like training our focus. So the ability to be able to bring our thoughts and bring our emotion to the points of our presence. This book also highlights the importance of rituals and habits, and then also the idea of support, building community and using different resources on campus, whether it's the Flex Center, the Campus Health and Wellness Center, where we might have some surprise guests in a few moments. Michael Jordan is a strong example of the power of mental performance and climbing these internal mountains. One of his quotes is that I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and miss. test. I failed over and over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. So mental performance is showing up skills on the court, in the classroom. It's these skills that help us show up on our first day, our first varsity match, our first job shift, our first exam. How do we climb these mountains with all the stress and all the pressure? John Oliver, a sports psychologist, mentions that it's not about reducing the pressure, but building our capacity to embrace more. And so let's talk a little bit about stress and pressure, because it's not a bad thing. And so we have an image on the screen called the Yerkes-Dodson law. And this really helps us understand whether it's academic performance or sports performance, that we need a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of stress. Otherwise, we're in this kind of bored comfort zone where we're not alert and we're not feeling very challenged. And so we don't have a lot of performance. Then you'll notice in this image, it's like an upside down U. And at the peak, our optimized performance, whether it's on an exam or on the field, we have to have a certain level of challenge. We need to be on this edge of our growth zone. So too chill, we're bored, disengaged, procrastinating. Too stressed, the flip side of that, we're burnt out and overwhelmed. We can feel that at different times. There's this sweet spot like Goldilocks where we're focused, we're locked in. So performance isn't about perfection. It's functioning under pressure, having kind of that right amount, that Goldilocks amount to help move us into our growth zone and always staying on that edge. So whether it's kind of, you made the team or you made it to Durham College, you got accepted and you're here now. Why am I stressed? Why is this so hard? We're at the beginning. We're at the start. There's a reason for this. And so in that idea of kind of the performance zone, that growth zone that we just looked at, we have another image here from the Research Center on Human Stress out of Montreal. And this is the NUTS theory. And so we have a formula for finding this sweet spot, this Goldilocks zone of pressure and performance. The idea here is that we stress out, we kind of fall off that U when things are too novel or new, when things are too unpredictable, when they're too threatening, whether this is to our ego, our finances, our times, or when the experience gives us a sense of no control. So NUTS is a really great acronym for us to kind of use like a formula or a recipe to move us along that U curve of performance and pressure. Sports psychologist Jonah Oliver validates that our brain craves reducing uncertainty. Uncertainty is one of the hardest human emotions. And so starting new things, new time at the Flex Center, new on a varsity team, new here at Durham College, it's a little nutty. And so our goal is to find this Goldilocks zone for a growth mindset and really enhance that mental performance so we can show up on the exam, on the field, and help score at that winning goal. So a growth mindset, this is the mindset that doesn't mean that everything is awesome, but it's how we look at the nuts in our life, how we embrace challenge, how we embrace these threats and novelty and unpredictability and regain a little bit more of that sense of control. So it means we treat feedback like data, not verdict, and we think less about the final product and more being in a drafts folder. So it's about the process, less about the outcomes, less about the GPA, and about learning how we learn, less about winning the big trophy at the end and how we show up as an athlete. And so we want to reframe our thinking to really develop this growth mindset. We grow through what we go through. And so we want to be on the edge of this Goldilocks performance zone. So we're stepping outside of a comfort zone, and it can be scary on this edge. But there's many benefits. We can think of Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality or LeBron James keeping the blinders on. Bree, what are your thoughts on embracing challenge, stepping into our growth zone? Are there benefits?
There are so many benefits to stepping out of your comfort zone and really pushing yourself. So it's important to remember that when our brain grows, it's usually under strain, right? We're challenging ourselves in beneficial ways that we can process and learn from. So I've got 7 quick points to reference on why we should challenge ourselves.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it here, Heather. Building mental resilience, right? That's a huge one. Every time you push through something hard, you're teaching yourself, I can survive this. I believe in myself. I can continue to push hard, right? When we voluntarily take on difficult tasks, you train your brain to tolerate the discomfort. Our second one would be promoting growth and learning. So getting out of our comfort zones, which they're so cozy. We want to stay in our comfort zones, right?
Yeah.
But that's not where you learn. You got to go outside of your comfort zone, acquire new skills, challenging yourself and forcing yourself to adapt slightly outside of our current abilities helps you acquire those new skills, and it helps you move kind of out of that autopilot phase.
Yeah.
Right? Which so many of us go through life in. Our third one is increasing your self-confidence. So accomplishing difficult things, can be really hard, right?
Yeah.
Challenging yourself, let's say.
Starting a new podcast.
Ooh, starting a new podcast. That's one, right?
Yeah.
The belief that you can influence your outcomes through your action is true. Having confidence in yourself can not only be motivational for yourself, but it can be motivational for those around you. So maybe, you're trying something new, and next thing you know, your best friend's also trying something new.
Yeah.
Boosting confidence. It also helps to improve our stress management. So just like you talked about, right? Finding and avoiding those difficult things can, in the long term, make us be more avoidant. So improving our stress management, challenging ourselves, our body becomes less reactive to that pressure. We can recover faster on those setbacks and learn practical coping strategies. Okay, only a couple more to go here. Listen up. Number 5 is strengthening your physical and your mental health. So on the physical side, we want to make sure that we're pushing ourselves through these exercises or new movements, creating patterns to strengthen our body, to strengthen that muscle memory. So mentally challenging yourself can be linked to lower risk of depression, improved mood, right? A greater sense of purpose. Super important because it also releases dopamine and endorphins, which are our happy, feel-good muscles.
Yeah.
Sorry, not muscles, chemicals. The chemicals in the brain. Our muscles are
They
here.
get through our muscles. They help the muscles in the long run.
Number 6 is creating meaning and motivation. So we don't need to necessarily ask our brains all the time, what motivates me to, do my best, when we should be wanting to motivate ourselves to do our best, right? We can consistently look back to what motivated me to do this. Some psychologists refer to this as the in-stress. Would I be saying that right? Yeah. Positive stress that energizes rather than overwhelms us.
Yes.
Right? So an example for this that we'll talk about later is maybe you find a really good motivational quote. You had some earlier, some great ones. Maybe we're putting that motivational quote on our lock screen or on the screen of our phone, or we're posting it on our bedroom door, right? Motivational, make sure it's meaningful. And the last one is expanding our identity. So not that not that we can't be this person, but we are going to talk ourselves into becoming this person. So if running is a huge goal that you want to accomplish, it's not, I'm not a runner, I'm a bad runner. It's, I'm going to become a runner. I'm going to start small and build up from there.
I think we'll hear a little bit more of identity building in a few moments. Great tips.
Thank you.
Great benefits. So we are going to take a short musical break. And after this break, we're going to have some guests to continue this conversation back here on riotradio.ca. So how do we start? Let's talk starting strong when everything feels so new and very, very nutty. Joining us today, a familiar face here on Riot Radio, award-winning podcast host from Student Academic Learning Services, Science Guy Craig.
Hi,
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We also have an expert in student development with a powerful passion for embracing our growth zone, especially when navigating your career path, Director of Student and Career Development. Welcome, Lucy.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. So, Lucy, a lot of students feel this pressure that we have to have it all together right away. What does starting strong actually look like in real life?
Yeah. So first of all, nobody's got it together, okay? Starting strong is really about showing up with an open mind, giving yourself permission to take that first imperfect step, and to keep taking small, consistent steps. For students, this can look like giving yourself grace as you adjust to a new routine, to getting familiar with the campus and its resources, booking an appointment, reaching out for some support, introducing yourself to a new person. Those steps can help build confidence. And so Start Strong is a combination of all these small little steps.
Yeah, they kind of accumulate and build up in the long run. If someone's made the team, let's say, so they're finally on the team at varsity, or they finally made it here at Durham College and joined a program, it can feel really overwhelming. What's a mindset shift that can help us settle in and kind of get our head in the game?
Yeah, that's a great question. So shifting from that place of self-doubt to self-trust, reminding yourself that it's natural to feel overwhelmed when you're experiencing new things. One tool, which kind of builds on something Brianna was talking about earlier about motivational quotes, but one tool that you can do is to use a word or a phrase that can help you anchor yourself when you're feeling like all of this, all the feels and all those internal thoughts kind of thing. It could be something like, I've got this. I can do hard things. I'm not alone in feeling this way. I belong here. Or a fun little one is to do a little countdown, go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I got this, blast off kind of thing. But really taking a moment to pause, to anchor yourself, to reset, that can do wonders for calming your nervous system and quieting all of that inner chatter.
Yeah, we don't often give ourselves that permission to pause, and it's incredible just even pausing, using a cue, using that anchor word or adding that humor, motivation quote. We have a few seconds to kind of ground and pause. What's one small thing that students can do? We're on week 3 here at Durham College. What's something that they can be doing in these first few weeks, planting the seed now that can maybe have some big payoff down the road when it's not feeling so overwhelming and new?
Yeah, so if you haven't done so already, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself to your professors, to coaches, to classmates. It doesn't have to be something big. It can just be a hello. It can be a small little email. Those tiny little moments of connection can help bridge that place later on when you need a study buddy, when you need to reach out to your professor for a question or a reference later down the road. So it's just little low pressure activities of little smile, the next day hello, just building on with that.
When you use that word connection, it reminds me almost like a spider web, right? All of these little moments of connection can start to build up. From field to classroom, Craig, looking at how we get our head into learning mode. Some of our students, it's been a long time since they've been in a classroom. So some students might be kind of worried about what that looks like. What's the biggest mistake you see students make when they think they need to get serious about studies and school?
It was kind of hard to narrow it down, I won't lie. So my one biggest mistake is actually 3 things that I thought of. Sorry about that. But one of the things we think about, right? I need to get serious about school, but I often hear but it's too late. Not that students necessarily say that to me, but in the back of their mind, right? It's too late for me to really change this where things are going, right?
Yeah.
So the semester, we're already in week 4 of the semester or week 3 of the semester, and like, it's too late kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's that or week 13 or whatever the case is. But I think that with that, I often say, the best time to start is now, no matter what the case is. So even if it is a little bit later and feels like overwhelming, that aspect of something like, let me just start now. Well, I'll use an extreme example, right? I'll say to students, not that I think it's the case when I share this with them, but if it's like, well, even if you were not successful in the course and then you have to take it again, right? What if you were to start now turning things around, adding in some strategies and so on, so that even worst case, you have to take the course again? Right? You have those strategies already in place. You have some basic knowledge about that material in order to be successful moving forward, right?
Yeah.
In addition to that, and I think that you guys were talking about it and Lucy was talking about it as well, but thinking, in order to get more serious about school, I have to have it all figured out beforehand.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that came to mind as I was preparing this, in SALS, we offer a overcoming procrastination workshop. And within there, we have the quote, just do it. We all know that from Nike, right? And it's just do it. Just get started with one little thing just to get started. In that case, to overcome procrastination, but also not feeling the overwhelm of, I have to have it all figured out to be successful. And then the other thing kind of tied to those two that I thought of is sometimes it can be, I need to get serious about school, but I don't know if I can do it. And if I think back to some of the other things I thought of, it's a lot of me, self, I have to do all these self things. But as you mentioned earlier, there's all kinds of resources on campus and people on campus to help support you.
Yeah.
In sports, right? It's not hey, go out and you better be good at basketball. And if you're not, you better take care of that yourself. You have coaches and trainers, et cetera, right? Same thing for academics. You have SALS, you have Access Support Center. But even in the classroom, you have classmates, you have your professor.
You have a team.
Yeah, you have a team around you, a community around you, and so asking for help in that space is important.
Yeah. Do we actually need to get motivated in order to start learning, or is there a different way to kind of think about this? I personally hate the word motivation. It's kind of like this unicorn, right? It's a byproduct from that Nike just doing it. Do we need to be motivated to start learning?
Yeah, this was an interesting one. I think it's kind of a mixture of a little bit yes and a little bit no, in the sense of, some of the, again, maybe extreme examples, but if I'm coming to college as an example and I'm in a program because someone else has told me to take it, that's maybe not going to be very successful if it was, whether it was a friend or mom and dad pressured me or I just had to choose something, so I chose this one, right? Then there's next to no motivation kind of thing. So I think there's some need for it, and you guys were mentioning ways to get yourself motivated with the quotes and so on. And I think that comes to that's sort of the bigger picture, but then what about sometimes you go into classes and, and I'll say at DC it happens too. It's not always the most exciting class or the exciting concept and so on, but how do I need some motivation for that? But it can be something, maybe as simple as, why am I in this program? Okay, I'm in this program. This concept is maybe not that interesting to me, but I'm being taught it for a reason. And my end goal is whatever the case happens to be, right?
Look a little bit longer term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For someone kind of returning from a break or, kind of bouncing back after a rough semester, what's kind of a first realistic step to kind of getting back into learning and back into all of these strategies and routines that we need for learning?
Yeah, I think it depends on what the break was about, right? So if it was something where, there was a health issue or mental health issue or, difficulty with, I needed a step back from that program because it wasn't for me, and now I'm coming into a new program, and I'll kind of focus maybe a little bit more on that one as an example, or even just, I'm not sure if this program's for me. Yes, now I realize it is, but I took a break to get there. Is just the moving forward. right? What are the things that I need to do moving forward? And as much as I'm saying again, thinking about supports that are available to you to help you move forward, but not being focused on, just maybe a negative situation, whatever that happens to look like, and sort of sitting in that, but how do I move forward beyond that, right? Maybe I got into a program and it wasn't for me and I wasn't successful in that. You go into another program, nobody knows that, about your previous program that you were in. And so it's, just that recognition that I can move forward, that there are supports available, and DC wants you to be successful. We want you to be successful.
Absolutely. Craig, I remember one of the concepts that you talked about in the past is like identity-based habits, and Bree, you were highlighting this earlier, right? And this is a beautiful blend from sports psychology and habit science. Act like the person you want to become before you fully believe it. I remember you saying like dress for the role you want, but mentally. Can you tell us just a little bit more about this concept of like identity-based habits?
Yeah, in preparing for this, I came across, I've read James Clear's books like Atomic Habits, among others. And so I signed up for his weekly email, and there's always good quotes in there. And one was, we want solutions, but what we really need are attitudes. You don't need abs, but rather an attitude of training. You don't need an answer, but rather an attitude of curiosity. You don't need an easier life, but rather an attitude of perseverance, right? Because sometimes we focus on that end goal and don't think about what got us there
The
for
journey.
it, right?
Yeah.
The journey on the way, right? My goal is to be improve in a sport that I'm involved in, whether varsity or otherwise here on campus, a class that I'm in, program, whatever the case is, but focusing more on that, what happens at the end, as opposed to recognizing, but it's all about that middle portion in there that is really the importance, right? And so then thinking about, well, how do I get to that point? Because a goal is a great thing to have. I want to have this diploma in a year or 2 years, however long the program is. But how are you going to get there, right? I want to improve in whatever sport it is that you're involved in, but what are the strategies and so on that the steps I have to take in order to, become better at it?
And it reminds me almost from a career development perspective, so focused on that end goal. I think for a lot of students, it's okay, my end goal was graduating DC and then getting a job. And it's a big stressor for students and for athletes of what's next? What's after that graduation? And they feel almost behind if they don't have a clear vision on what that looks like, or it's maybe changed, like you said, Craig, along the way. Lucy, how normal is this actually for us?
Oh my goodness, it is so normal. Most students, and honestly, most adults, are still trying to figure things out. Career paths are not linear. They are more like a winding, curly Q journey shaped through exploration, different experiences, personal reflection moments. Feeling unsure and feeling like you're behind means you're human, and that you're navigating your own journey.
What does starting your career journey look like if you don't have that clear goal yet? How can we kind of stop treating career decisions like a final exam or the final 30 seconds as a game's buzzing to an end?
Yeah, first of all, I want to clarify that you're one person, one career, and that you're whole and complete. And even if you don't have that clear goal, over the span of your career, you're going to experience a variety of jobs, a variety of experiences. Each one of them is going to contribute to your overall career. So as you move through life on this curly Q, windy path, your career, you're going to collect all sorts of different clues. And those clues are going to help guide you. And that clue could be not doing well in one program.
Yeah.
That's a clue.
Yeah.
Right? Coming back. Right? Some clues will help you figure out what you want to do or what you don't want to do, which is equally as important. Others are going to bring you closer to that path that you're not even sure of what it is right now. So paying attention paying attention to what energizes you, being curious about things, thinking about what problems do I want to solve? Where do I want to show up? Thinking about what are some of the things that I easily lose track of time doing? Talking to people, getting involved, trying new things. And so here at the college, trying new things could look like joining a club, getting involved as a DC crew or a student in the Institute of Student Leadership. Those are different opportunities that students can get involved and learn a little bit more about themselves, interact with other people, experiment, step out of their comfort zone, do a little zigging and zagging, right? Trying different things. And so you don't really have to have a clear goal. You just need to make a decision, and then the next decision, and then the next one, and they start to build on each other. So it's all about those small, consistent steps, and reflecting on those lessons that you've learned along the way. If I think back to my own personal experience, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I went on that path, but I picked up little things along the way that really took me to the path that I'm on right now.
It reminds me also, you've been mentioning a lot of like low stress, low pressure strategies. And I hear from a lot of students almost this idea of like, I have to have a 5-year plan. Like I have to have a plan, and goals are so important. What are some more, maybe one more even like low pressure ways students can explore careers, do this zigging and sagging without the commitment of like a 5-year plan and that is set in stone?
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of do what Craig did.
Yeah.
I got like
A couple.
So all of it kind of comes under one bigger umbrella. So first of all, just start by talking to people. And talking to people can look like just little conversations. You might even think about setting a little target for yourself. I'm going to talk to one person every month that can help me, give me some information. And then the other piece is trying different things to help as well. So when you're reaching out and thinking about what's that network, it could be a professor, asking a professor a little bit about that subject or what interested them or what's something that they learned. It could be talking to an employer, and shameless little self-plug, we've got 2 job fairs coming up in the next 2 weeks. So come talk to the employers and gather up little bits of information. It could be another student. It could be by getting involved in a club or DC Crew and ISL, and interacting with other students, with the staff who run the programs. Talk to them, ask them about how they got to where they're at. Just getting curious, especially in this safe space of Durham College. Put yourself out there a little bit and start asking those questions, and those questions and conversations that you engage in are opportunities to pick up some of those small little clues as to like, what do you like, what do you not like, and additionally you're also building your network, and you're building confidence in talking to people. Every time you do that, you're building confidence. There was the conversation around motivation that you were talking about. Motivation comes, sometimes you don't have it, but doing the things builds the confidence, which builds the motivation in a way to do stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say too, like recognizing by exactly what you're saying, talking to others, that you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes people see the, people who are in their careers and like, yep, they went to school, they got out, they got a job, and now here they are and they're successful, whatnot. Versus I think if we all shared our stories, they do a whole lot of, curving and so on of, then I went there and then learned that, as we have kind of said here.
And when we think about mental performance and moving away from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, it's, having that willingness, that vulnerability to engage in these conversations and treating all these things like reps, right? It's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to go smoothly, but each time we show up and we try our best to get our head in the game, it really helps to build all of this over time. Yeah. Thank you both so much for joining us on the Mental Game today. Where can students find out more about how to access your supports?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so in terms of student development, you can visit Durham College student development. And then in terms of career development, you can go to hired.durhamcollege.ca. You can sign up into the portal and you can book yourself an appointment to meet with one of the coaches or access some of the resources and job postings there as well.
Check out the job fairs coming up in February. Yeah. And Craig, what about SALS?
Yeah, for SALS, it would be the same thing of go to durhamcollege.ca/SALS, SALS. And that will redirect you to our portion of the DC website, and it will show you all the various supports that we have, the space that we have for students to use, and the online resources as well.
Wonderful. After this short music break, Bree has some hot tips and tricks to get our head into the game and here at college, back on riotradio.ca. Welcome back to the mental game. Bree, how can we get into our Goldilocks zone, our growth zone, where it's not feeling too nutty and really reap those benefits that you were talking earlier?
Well, it's all about making sure that you stay motivated. So challenging yourself, finding little small wins throughout the day. We've actually talked to some students on campus. We're going to show you some videos real quickly here. We've got 3 to go through, but how you can keep yourself motivated during these cold, gloomy, dark months. So our first one that you're going to see here in a second is, it might be cold and gloomy outside, but this is the time when we should be moving our bodies most. And of course, getting some sunshine where possible, because we have to combat the seasonal depression that might be slipping in there a little bit. So it's on a sunny day. Ooh, it's actually a beautiful day outside. On a sunny day like this, it might even be good to stand outside for 5 to 10 minutes, feel that sunshine on your face, let go of the stress, try to boost your vitamin D just a little bit, because vitamin D does so much for us, not only for our muscles and our bones, but it boosts our mood, our immunity. And from a core level, who doesn't love the sun, right?
Absolutely. Gives our mental performance a nice little boost. Exactly. Shall we check out what the students had to say?
Let's check it out.
My biggest trick for staying motivated in the winter months is definitely getting stuff done early in the morning. So I find with the winter, the sky's always gray, the sun kind of goes down early, you get hit with that depressive, lethargic feeling after the day. So getting up, getting it done in the morning when those dopamine kicks happen, those endorphins are rising, that's definitely how I stay on track in the winter.
In the wintertime, I stay motivated by thinking about how I want a hot girl summer.
By the way, hot girl summer is when you look good and feel good.
Looking good and feeling good.
And looking good and feeling good, as we know, covers a wide range. It's just all about feeling good about yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So while we might, have had a New Year's resolution set in place, maybe we achieved it, maybe we didn't. That's okay. Here are some tips and tricks for how to make those goals achievable. Okay, so make sure you're starting.
Being a personal trainer as well as a student is that.
Sorry about that. Make sure you're starting slow. Pick 1 to 3 goals and take it slow. Okay, we're not compounding everything on there at once. I don't have a massive to-do list. I could set a timer for myself. Okay, so the goal might be to drink more water throughout the day, which we should all be doing. Okay, so set a timer on your phone. Maybe it goes off every 30 minutes to take a sip of your water. Okay, we can create vision boards, set reminders, set deadlines, add motivational quotes, as we talked about, and find maybe an inspiring podcast or artist that you can listen to on your commute to campus.
It reminds me, Craig mentioned earlier a book that he really likes, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a fantastic book on habit forming. And this reminds me of the idea of like, make it visible. If you want to drink a little bit more water, like have your water container right in front of you. Have somebody who can pop their head in and say like, hey, been to water fountain, done a refill. So making things visible through reminders, through sticky notes is a great, great tip.
Yes, and don't forget to celebrate those small wins. They might be small, but they're super important to making sure that we're motivating ourselves and keeping that confidence as we go through the tasks. So here's that video for you.
Thing that I've noticed as being a personal trainer as well as a student is that everybody overcomplicates their goals. So my biggest piece of advice was keep your goals simple. Everybody tries to jump in and have such a strict step routine, but what happens is if you miss one of those steps, you kind of fall off the tracks entirely. So I would say start by prioritizing progress over perfection.
So to motivate myself to do something that I don't really want to do is plan it out. So coming to the gym today, I planned out a workout, so I'm more motivated and I know what I want to do. So that really pushes me to do something.
Yeah. And for myself, I think it would be to reward myself. So even though I don't want to come to the gym today and it's early and I don't have classes, I told myself, after I'll go get a smoothie or something. So I'm more willing to come.
The key to keeping my goals straight is showing up every day and just getting the momentum and keeping myself pushing forward.
Ooh, love those tips. Kind of builds on those ideas we've been talking about, right? Like consistency, showing up to kind of build a rep, right? That kind of mental performance. And I love the KISS idea, the, keep it simple, stupid. Our goals don't need to be so complicated. And so simplify them. Also, it reminded me of a saying I heard years ago of he mentions if you fall off the track, right? You had a goal and you didn't meet it of, this idea that we kind of, it's like football, you kind of have 4 quarters to your day. So instead of viewing it as, I said I'd go to the gym this morning and I didn't, it's, we have more opportunity later today. What time does the Flex Center close?
The Flex is open until 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
Lots of opportunities.
Lots of time. So if you don't make it at 10 a.m., where else can you shift it in your day? Exactly. And the idea of rewards are good too.
Awesome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to take yourself to the gym, little reward later in the day for that sweet spot that you want to hit.
Yeah. And it can be something like a smoothie, an actual treat, or even just the validation of you leaning into your values, leaning into your goals, the idea of identity building of I'm wanting to be a nurse and I'm going to be on my feet all day. And so going to the Flex helps me build that endurance that I'm going to need when I'm a nurse.
100%.
So it's the reward can be in solidifying those values and those goals and the identity that we're building.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree on that. This next video that we're going to see, it touches on reflecting on something you wish you knew when you first started at DC. So maybe you just started here this semester. And then we're also going to take a look at some things that we've noticed have improved since being here on campus. So one thing we're going to touch on is making sure that you're getting involved, right? Making new friends, as we know, can be daunting, but finding your right circle is a lot easier than you think.
Yeah, Craig and Lucy both touch on how important this is, right? Building that community, using your supports, networking.
And not being afraid to spark up a conversation with someone, right?
Yeah.
Whether we're joining intramurals, a sports club, a society, don't be afraid to spark up those conversations.
Yeah.
Because I bet you they're just as nervous as you are to talk to someone new.
Absolutely.
Right? And as Jacob, our personal trainer there, mentioned in our last video, giving places on campus a second chance can be a good idea. So you'll see him talk about that here as we come up to it. And maybe the vibes are a little off for that day. Give it a second chance. You know, no one is going to be perfect on their first time. And as we said earlier, perfectionism isn't always all it's cracked up to be.
No, not our goal.
No. So here we go. Here's Jacob.
Wish I knew last year would be to get involved with any sort of extramural or intramural sports, because I can tell you from experience, being inside all day isn't very fun.
So I've actually been going to school here for 4 years. I was in fitness and health promotion to start, and when I came in here for the first time, I noticed that the gym wasn't really heavily equipped. The layout was kind of weird. It wasn't for me. But then when I started here, working here, I came in totally different impression. The gym was way more equipped, the layout's way better, it's way more easier to use, and it's just downright perfect.
Downright perfect. You heard it from Jacob. Come visit the Flex. So as you can see in that video there, right, it might not be the perfect fit for you at that present time, but come back and you could find some people that click with you. They have the similar like-mindedness. They could be your people, and
Absolutely.
You're missing out on it.
It also reminds me of, we've been talking today about, when we're pressing start, when we're starting something new, we're going to be faced sometimes with this stress and this pressure. And some of that is just based on those nuts, right? It's new, it's novel. As he was mentioning, like the layout was weird, like navigating all that. So once we're kind of in the flow and we're in it and using the different resources, really interesting how it can shift our mindset.
100%.
Yeah.
So to go off of that, right, and how the gym can be an intimidating place, we're going to show a video here real shortly on our Fit Fast 9 guide in the Flex. So if you have never been to the Flex, pop on by. Our Flex monitors can show you where it's located. And don't forget that asking questions is a good thing.
Yeah. And what I love about the Fit Fast 9 is so many students I talk to feel really intimidated. They've never really used a gym before. They don't know how to get started. So I think this is an excellent way to reduce those nuts, right? It makes it no longer new. It reduces the unpredictability of it. It kind of sets us up with a bit of a game plan that we don't have to be super rigid on, but it gives us a bit of a flow on how we can use these pieces of equipment.
Agreed.
Let's give it a watch.
Training. Right now? Okay. So as we go over our video here, it's super important to know that a lot of other people do use this circuit just to kind of work in and use the machines that are going on. So the video that we're showing right now is our bicep curls and tricep extensions. This can be used for both biceps and triceps. We got your training tips set right on the side there. So make sure when you're sitting down at these machines as a first-time gym user, or maybe you haven't been in the gym much, we have to make sure that we're setting up the machine proper so that way it lines up with our body. Okay. In our next video here, we are going to, we're already at station 3. So we've skipped through the abs, we've skipped through a multi-press, we've done our bicep, triceps, and now we're hitting station 4. So at this point, I may have done 10 to 12 reps of the previous exercises. And now as I get on my abdominal and back extension, again, this is a machine that targets multiple areas, okay? So making sure that we are keeping our abdominals nice and tight when we're doing the abdominal portion here, ensuring that our upper and lower back are always in contact with the piece of equipment, okay? It's super important to make sure that form is your first line of defense of getting injured, okay? Moving on to the shoulder press. A couple different ways to move this here. Those yellow clips on the top, you can angle what position your hands are at, which will give you a different target for the muscles to hit. On our mid row here, same thing. These machines that we have, the hoist ones, are awesome because you can pivot how you're hitting certain muscles in your body. Again, making sure that we're setting it up so that way our body is positioned against it properly. As you'll see here in this leg extension, we would obviously want to set this so that way it's hitting properly on our shins and it's not too far up close to our knees, or we're not kicking it out with our feet. So again, this one is targeting our quadriceps. Right after that one, you can move on to the leg curl, and we're going to hit our hamstrings. So I think you're starting to get the sense that this circuit right here, again, is perfect for the beginners, but it's also a full body workout. If you go through this circuit 2 to 3 times, you'll have a full body workout, right? We got the leg press, quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings. We're hitting every single piece of our body that we need to get a nice full body workout in. And by the end of this, if you have any questions, you don't know how to use a certain piece of machine, there's people in the Flex to help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, don't allow not feeling intimidated by the equipment, which I know I was and still am with some piece of equipment, stop you from getting into that growth zone and really staying in your comfort zone.
Yep.
There are so many incredible staff in the Flex working there to really help if you have questions. But moving your body, whether it's here at the Flex, joining an intramural, it can be such a benefit to your learning, but also just enhancing that mental performance. Our body and our mind are connected.
Yes.
So if we, show up in our body, it will help us show up in our mind as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Well, this is the end of our episode today. You can check us out at DCOT-CHWC
and the DCOT Campus Recreation.
And you can also follow the DCSA Media Hub on social media at DCSA Media Hub. We will see you next week on The Mental Game, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.